The cafe at Place de Luxembourg was filled with the muted hum of EU bureaucrats, lobbyists, and NATO employees, drinking their evening coffee under the glow of flickering television screens. On the screens, news channels rolled without sound. The tickers displayed the latest reports from the riots at the central station, but no one in the room looked at them anymore. The chaos had become background noise, a part of the city's infrastructure. Marcus Vance sat in a corner with a laptop and 3 empty espresso cups in front of him. His eyes were bloodshot from sleep deprivation. When Alina and Hans stepped through the door, he instinctively closed the screen halfway. "Alina?" he said, rising half-heartedly. "I told you I don't have time tonight. The entire intelligence department is on high alert. Something is happening on the network that we can't." He stopped himself and glanced suspiciously at Hans. "Who is this?" "This is Hans Nilsson," Elena said, pulling out a chair. "He's some kind of philosophical mathematician, and he claims he knows what it is you can't explain." Marcus sighed deeply and massaged his temples. "Elena, I don't have time for academic theories about globalization or moral philosophy right now. We are facing a real technological assault on the global navigation system. We've lost contact with 3 military weather satellites just within the last hour. This isn't a philosophical problem. It's a fucking declaration of war." "That is exactly your mistake, Marcus," Hans said, sitting down without being asked. He placed his worn notebook directly on top of Marcus's laptop. "You are looking for an enemy who wants to wage war. War is a human concept driven by emotion, territory, and prestige. What you are experiencing right now has nothing to do with war. It is a correction." Marcus froze. His professional arrogance was replaced for a moment by sheer astonishment. "What do you know about the satellites?" "I know nothing about military hardware," Hans replied calmly. "But I know how to count. Open your computer, Marcus. Show me the timestamps of when the satellites stopped responding." Marcus hesitated, looking at his sister, and then at the man in the worn tweed jacket. There was something in Hans's voice, a total absence of fear or prestige, that forced him to comply. He opened the screen and typed in a security code. A long row of encrypted log files and precise time readouts illuminated the screen. Hans looked at the display for a few seconds, then flipped open his notebook and pointed to a handwritten formula. "There it is," Hans said. "The time intervals between the satellite failures do not follow a military attack pattern. If Russia or China wanted to blind NATO ahead of an invasion, they would strike everything simultaneously. This is an arithmetic sequence based on the Fibonacci numbers, but inverted against the Earth's rotation. It is a mathematical signature." Marcus stared at the screen, then at Hans's notebook. His fingers began to fly across the keyboard as he ran a quick statistical analysis on the formula Hans had just shown him. The screen glowed green. The correlation was 98%. It's impossible," Marcus whispered. The exhaustion seemed to vanish from his face, replaced by a deathly paleness. There is no state in the world that would code an attack this way. It's as if someone wants us to see the pattern. "Exactly," Hans said. "They want you to see it, not the general public, not Elena's readers who are driven by panic and political dogma. They want the calculating minds of humanity to understand that the game state has changed. We have reached a mathematical dead end. Elena leaned forward across the table.
What do you mean by a dead end, Hans?
Humanity has developed systems that are too complex for our biological hardware, Hans explained, gesturing toward the TV screens on the wall which were still showing the riots. Our media, our politics, and our economy are driven by immediate emotional reactions. We build more efficient weapons and more polarizing algorithms because we are programmed for internal strife. But the system cannot expand further without collapsing from within. This force, the one dropping satellites and detonating our nuclear weapons in deserts without leaving a trace, has calculated the exact date of our self-destruction. And what is their goal? Marcus asked, his voice now devoid of all its former hostility.
To change our direction?
Hans said. They know we will never unite voluntarily through logical arguments or political agreements. It is not in our nature. The only way to make us stop fighting one another is to give us a common, absolute, and undeniable enemy. An enemy so overwhelming that all our internal differences instantly become irrelevant. Marcus shook his head. But who is it? Aliens? A secret cabal? Hans closed his notebook with a dull thud. It doesn't matter who it is, Marcus. Because the exact second the threat becomes physical and merciless, we won't have time to look for the perpetrator. We will only have one choice, to cooperate or to die. And that process has already begun. In that exact moment, the television screens on the cafe walls went black. The lights in the venue flickered and died, and outside on Place de Luxembourg, dozens of car alarms began to blare in unison as the city's backup generators failed. The darkness that descended over Brussels was total.